So my blush is looking super uneven today. Please ignore that. I am testing out a new product and it wasn't exactly working out the way that I wanted it to. Hey y'all, nice to see you. It's Joanne. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back again. Thank you for clicking on another one of my videos. If you've been anywhere on beauty TikTok or any beauty spaces on the internet, you've likely already heard of the Armani Beauty Luminous Silk Foundation. In this video, I want to really take the time to review this product. I want to give it the opportunity to really perform over a couple of days just so that I could have a good understanding of how it would perform in my everyday life. I will leave all of my complexion match products down below, so what shades I am in other foundations in case you're wondering, and I'll also leave timestamps down below in the description box. So basically, if you have a question, check out the description box, and if it's not there, just comment down below and I will try to respond as soon as I can. The Armani Luminous Silk is a expensive foundation. It is $69 for 1 fluid ounce of this. For reference, I think the majority of like high-end foundations are around the $50 mark. So to be $20 more than that is really kind of, it's an outlier. This product actually launched in March of 2000. From what I know now, in 2024, the most recent expansion of the shade range has it standing at 40 shades. So it is quite a wide shade range, but in the Western space, something that I've seen is, you know, with the Fenty initial launch of 40 shades, which was super innovative at the time, I think in 2017, it's been 6 years now, and most foundation brands will have a sizable variety of shades. I think 30 is on the low end, and for the most part, the best sellers or the best performing foundations, at least from a revenue standpoint, will have around 40 to 50 shades. So I would say that Luminous Silk is not industry leading, it's just the industry standard to have 40 shades. A little bit about me. So I would say sensitive combination skin, and I do have texture from acne scarring. I will break out from time to time, but it's never like a giant cystic pimple like I used to have. I went through like a round of Accutane and now I'm on like birth control to control hormonal acne, but certain products sometimes will trigger a inflammatory reaction in my skin. I also have watery eyes and a runny nose from allergies, and this is almost like on a daily basis. I typically wear foundation 2 to 3 times a week when I go into the office from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So over 12-hour wear. This product is called the Armani Beauty Luminous Silk Perfect Glow Flawless Oil-Free Foundation, and I got it in shade 4.5, which is a light to medium with neutral undertones. So I did blind buy this, and I think it kind of leads to a couple problems. So because of work from home and generally not having to like leave my apartment as often as when I was attending college, I used to be an NC30. I do believe I am a little bit paler, and that's like in the MAC shades. You can actually get this product in 2 different sizes. So there is the smaller travel size option, which is 0.6 fluid ounces or 18 milliliters, and that's $45 US. And then there's the full size one, which is 30 milliliters or 1 fluid ounce, and that's $69. So it really is better if you get the full size one because, you know, you're getting almost double the product for just 50% more of this travel size price. But I personally went with the travel size one because I am not someone who goes through foundation really quickly. Again, if you're wearing it only 2 to 3 times a week, you're not going to be using that much foundation. So the key details is that this product is a medium coverage, it's natural finish, and I also took a look at the ingredients, and it's a silicone based foundation. It's also long wearing. So the key considerations that I have going into this product is, does it oxidize? Does it crease on me? Does it cause dry patches? Does it stay beautiful? So for example, like you apply it and within the first hour it's gorgeous, but then literally it's like just straight downhill from there, exponentially bad. Does it get oily, and does it transfer? So those are like my key concerns. I know some other people might have different concerns. And again, I have combination skin, so that's not particularly dry and not particularly too oily. And again, I will note that I am not a professional makeup artist. The first day I wanted to test out this foundation with no primer, no powder, just applied it with a sponge. The way that they describe it on their website is to just use your fingers or a blender. So I think they're really directing those instructions towards people who, this is like your everyday woman, she might not have makeup brushes or things like that, and so just using your hands, using a beauty blender or like a cheapy sponge. So on this first day I didn't use a primer, I didn't apply powder or setting spray, I just applied it with a sponge. My initial observations is that there's a fragrance, and to me it smells like baby powder. I would also say that it's difficult to shade match. I got shade 4.5, but I think it looks a little bit pink on me, but I saw swatches online and 6 is really too deep or olive. So it's kind of difficult to try to match yourself using the images that they have. Perhaps like it's edited in a certain way that it doesn't truly reflect what the actual color is. So on the first day, using the sponge to apply, I felt like it took a lot of product to build up the coverage. For me, it took 2 pumps, and I think 2 pumps on a daily basis will definitely eat up the product. However, I like that powder products apply well even without having to set the foundation, so it's kind of self-setting in a way. Like it's not gonna pull or tug at any products that you apply above it, so I like that. I also like that it didn't stick to or create dry patches. I will say though, I did test run this product a couple of times before I ever did this wear test as well, just so that I felt comfortable using it and that it wasn't any type of user error. And I will say that you have to shake this foundation. An article from the Zoe report from I think 2023 noted that the formula is an oil and silk emulsion, which was kind of an innovation at the time of its initial launch in 2000. On the box itself, when you're opening it, there's a shaking illustration, and that's just to show that you do need to shake this really well before use. There were times where it was in the morning, I was running late for work, I needed to like head out, but my skin was looking awful. So I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm just gonna slap on this foundation. I'm gonna use my hands to apply. It should be fine. It was just off. Like my skin just did not look good like it usually did with this foundation. So I will say that it is a hit or miss, and so you do have to be a little bit careful with your application. I would also say that this foundation does give you that luminosity, but if you're someone like me where you have uneven skin texture, where you have perhaps acne scarring or, dry, rough patches, any kind of texture that is not the skin of a baby is going to be highlighted by this foundation, at least minimally. It's something that only you would really notice, I think, if you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my god, like, did I always have those fine lines? So for me, like, my textural issues are mainly on my forehead, and I noticed that it kind of gave me lines in the light because it does give you this slightly luminous look. And I would kind of describe it as like metallic to me because it's got that like reflective aspect to it, but it's nothing as intense as a metallic look. And I wore this on a cloudy day, didn't really have any problems. I think with cloudy days there's higher humidity, so sometimes certain foundations will break apart faster. And I would say like the coverage is okay. I don't need a foundation to give me like full coverage on application. Like that's not really what I need. I just need my skin to look a little bit better, cover up my acne scarring just a little bit and have more even skin tone. And I think it did that. And it didn't get too greasy even without using powder or a primer or a setting spray. So on the second day, I applied the Armani primer because I had a sample of it. I didn't really love it. It was just okay. I didn't feel like it improved the experience. I also felt like it was a little greasy, but that could also have been because it was in a packet and perhaps the product has separated inside. I applied with a brush. I also applied the Laura Mercier powder, so I felt like it mattified really well without getting dry or cakey. Sometimes if a foundation doesn't fully set or it doesn't set quickly enough and you're applying translucent setting powder on top of it, it kind of gets gloopy and gunky, and it didn't do that. And I would say that a foundation brush is a higher coverage with just one pump of foundation, but it's still medium coverage. So like with a beauty blender, it would be like light to medium even with 2 pumps, but a brush would get you to medium with just 1 pump. But I felt like it was still a very workable foundation. On the 3rd day, I used primer, powder, I applied with a brush, and then I also used setting spray, and I didn't really have any complaints on the 3rd day. I would say the glowiness does still show my texture, even with a powder. It's like, again, it's not like a dewy, moisture, hydrating type of glow. It's like a very, very, very fine highlighter type of glow. All right, so that was the 3-day wear test. Hopefully that gives you kind of a good idea of how the foundation would wear across time. So yeah, now I kind of want to get into my overall thoughts on this product. Pros. I like that the product was easy to blend and that it set down to a satin finish. I like that the product looked skin-like. It didn't look like a mask on my face, which is kind of nice because it looks more realistic, you know, like it might trick more people into thinking that you don't have foundation or makeup on. I like that the product didn't wash off or disappear from my face, because some of the days that I wore this, it was a little bit rainy and, you know, water might sometimes just like move the foundation to places where you don't want it to go. And I also like that it stayed mainly like on my T-zone, though I will say that with my runny nose, I definitely had redness here by the end of the day. But that's normal. I feel like the product seemed true to its word on medium coverage, enough to let freckles or beauty marks peek through, but it's also adequate coverage for, like, for me, I do have some like erythema from my acne scarring here, so that's just general redness as a splotch, and it does help to even that out. I also like that the foundation doesn't feel super heavy on the skin. I could feel that it's there, like I can still feel it right now, but it's not enough to feel like my skin couldn't breathe, because sometimes there were foundations that felt so heavy I could feel pimples forming because it was just such a bad experience. I don't know if that's irritation, if you experience it as a mask like feeling, or if it's really a mask like feeling, but because of its unbreathability, is that a word? Because of how it makes your skin feel closed off. I will also say that the glass bottle obviously feels more premium, you know, it's always really nice to have something high quality, especially if you're paying high quality money for it, right? But yeah, those were all of my pros, and now we get into the cons. Okay, so for me, the biggest deterring factor is the convoluted shade range, and so this kind of ties back to its extensive time on the market. It came out with 24 shades, and then now it has 40 shades. It's kind of messed up the numbering system, in my opinion. Oh my god, have I been out of focus this whole time? Hello? I'm gonna cry. Okay, I think I'm in focus. So although there are 40 shades, the shade that I went with using their description didn't seem like a match for my skin, and it leans slightly pink. This isn't like a full con, right? Like, if you can find your shade, then that means like this product might actually work for you. So I would recommend that if there's a retailer near you that stocks this foundation and you can test it, just swing by, check out the shades in person if you can. And again, I'm not knocking the foundation for not having my exact shade or making it really difficult for me to find my exact shade. If you can find a shade within the range that it's suitable for you, or if you've already found it, you know, that's perfect, right? Another con is I dislike the powdery fragrance. I would just prefer to not have a fragrance in my products, or if there is, just like that regular generic foundation smell, which is like low-key paint-like. Like, I prefer that because it just seems more true to what the product actually is, which is pigment. I also dislike the look of my forehead scarring with this foundation. As you could probably obviously tell, I've said it so many times already in this video. I think it just comes down to the fact that luminizing products will almost always accentuate existing texture, and so I'm not knocking this foundation for that. I'm just saying if you are someone who also has texture, perhaps it's something you would want to avoid. I would also say a con here is that skin prep is really important with this product. Otherwise, there's the possibility of the finish looking really dry and cakey. Even though this is a luminous foundation with like a natural looking finish, it's actually quite drying on the skin. So it's not a hydrating formula. Again, I would say that it's super important to shake this bottle before use. You can even see it separating in the bottle sometimes. There's like a thin layer of oil, like very, very thin, but it will mess up with how the product applies to your skin. I would also say that the plastic lid and the pump feels so cheap. Like with the Estee Lauder one, you have a metal lid. Even though there's a plastic on the inside, it's metal at least a little bit, so it feels more luxe, and it's cheaper than this. But this pump, I mean, the Estee Lauder one doesn't come with a pump, which is always such an L, right? But this pump is super plasticky, and I just expect more if I'm gonna be spending so much money on this. Overall, I would rate this foundation a 7 out of 10. I would say anything above an 8 out of 10 would be a repurchase for me. I would not actually repurchase this product, and it's due to all of the different cons that I listed before. I feel like I would want a product to have barely any cons for me to actually repurchase it. And so yeah, I don't think this is the perfect foundation for me. And so that's why I will not be repurchasing it. Oh, one last thing. Okay, so I would definitely recommend signing up for the ArmaniBeauty.com website, like the brand website for this product, because even though it is like super expensive on Sephora, you can commonly find this for like 20 to 30% off on the brand website whenever there's like a huge holiday. So, you know, my motto has always been never pay full price. That money-saving granny in me is always looking for a good deal. And so I actually, even though this one I did not purchase at a discount, I basically, I did a promo where I got this and the Power Fabric foundation, which I will be posting my full review soon. And with that together, I got the Armani Code Parfum, which I gifted to my boyfriend. I got that completely for free. So I think that that's an amazing deal. There's different promotions throughout the year. Okay, all right, so that is everything. Thank you guys so much for listening. It is literally 12 a.m. Like my plant lights kept turning off because of their automatic timer. But thank you so much for watching this video if you're still here at the end. Yeah, I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, requests, concerns, please comment down below. Yeah, so without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!